Welcome back. Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, now the second prominent Democrat to enter the race for governor.
Because we are talking about the next governor of the state of Wisconsin.
Crowley quickly securing the endorsement of Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson. In it, the mayor solidifying his decision not to run for governor himself.
So I've been in the trenches with him. I've seen how he listens. I've seen how he builds trust. And most importantly, I've seen exactly how he delivers. And not just for Milwaukee, but for the entire state of Wisconsin. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm proud to endorse him, proud to stand with him, and proud to continue fighting alongside him in this journey.
And with that, let's bring in Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. David, it's good to see you.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
We're going to get to the campaign and the endorsements here in just a second, but I want to start with the assassination of Charlie Kirk last week. You addressed it during a campaign event during the week. What do you make of seeing some Republicans, even the president, suggest that Democrats are to blame?
Well, it's unfortunate that we're literally pointing the finger at partisanship. We shouldn't be focusing on, what political beliefs people have on who to blame when it comes down to this. We need to stop the violent political rhetoric on both sides of the aisle and really focus on how do we help working families all across this country.
I just asked Josh Showman this, but as governor, you would oversee what is likely the most evenly divided state in the country, or one of them. How do you govern it, and how do you do that now when people are literally shooting at each other when they don't agree with another person's political beliefs?
Well, it's really about, building relationships, building a level of trust. One of my favorite quotes is, no one cares what you know until they know how much you care. And, there's not a lot that really divides us. All of us are struggling. We're trying to figure out how we, put food on the table, how we pay our bills. And it's really about showing up, having honest, open conversations, being as transparent as possible, to actually learn that you actually have a lot of things in common. And so I think right now with the political discourse that we have been seeing play out in this country is further dividing our country. But one of the reasons why, I got into political office and running for governor is to make sure that we can bring everybody to the table.
I want to ask about your campaign for governor. Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson endorsed you just hours after you officially launched your campaign last week. How does that endorsement help you win?
It's exciting. Mayor Cavalier Johnson is a great leader here in the city of Milwaukee, a great friend of mine. We went to high school together. But having him lets folks know that, we're willing to come to the table. People here in Milwaukee, we're working well with one another to tackle the issues, and that we're not running away from it. And so I'm running to be the governor of all of us. So having his endorsement is extremely important. But I plan on going all across this state, talking to rural, urban, and suburban voters everywhere to make sure that they can lend their voice to the issues.
This Democratic field is likely going to expand ahead of the primary. You have the Lieutenant Governor in, Ryan Sternad, the Attorney General, perhaps the former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, State Senator Kelda Royce, Francisca Hong, the state representative, just to name a few, who may be all getting into this. Is this going to turn into a race of who is the most liberal on the left?
I think this is really about giving voters an option. I think the primary elections is good for our democracy. And so having as many candidates as possible gives voters the opportunity to see the different candidates and different perspectives. But no matter who the Democratic nominee, or even on the Republican side, that lets that candidate, that Democratic or Republican nominee, become that much more better. So I welcome this field and looking forward to talking to as many voters as possible.
How do you sell yourself in the primary? Are you the most progressive? Are you the most liberal? Is that something you would like to embrace?
Well, I'm the only candidate in this race that has both experience serving in the legislature as well as actually running a government. I spent 7 years in the state capitol, so I know exactly how Madison worked. And for the past 5 years, I've been leading the largest county in the entire state. I represent a sixth of our entire population. It's about 1 million people, but also managing one of the largest budgets with a $1.4 billion budget. And so, the issues that I've tackled, these aren't just Milwaukee issues. These are state of Wisconsin issues.
You and I this past week talked about the county's finances, which some of your critics point to rather quickly, a projected $47 million deficit roughly. You told me this past week, I think we need to revisit how we actually tax. A lot of people took that as you saying we need to raise taxes.
No, that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the way that we tax in the state of Wisconsin, and quite frankly, is antiquated. We put everything, all of our revenues, pretty much on the backs of all of our property tax owners. And so there are ways that we can look at different ways in raising revenues for many of our local communities so they can invest in things that matter to them.
Do you have a plan on how you change that? Change that tax structure? You say there are other ways to look at how you do it.
Well, I think that there's an opportunity to create a blue ribbon commission for, to get folks from all across this state to come to the table for us to tackle our tax code just entirely. Whether we're looking at their property taxes, how shared revenue formula works, how we're funding our public schools. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution that's going to be able to solve the issues in the state of Wisconsin.
You've spoken out against any talk of sending National Guard troops to Milwaukee. We heard from Josh Schoeman say that you and the mayor have done a horrendous job on crime. We've heard from Bill Berrien say he supports the National Guard coming into Milwaukee. Why wouldn't you request any extra assistance?
Well, one, we don't need the National Guard coming into the city of Milwaukee or any community across this entire country. We have, men and women who wear the law enforcement uniform every single day who are doing a great job. And so if we want to make sure that we're uplifting communities, it's not about how we send more law enforcement. It's about how do you create partnerships.
Inching in on the first full week of the campaign, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Up next, disaster approved.